Hello and welcome to Tires for Overlanding Episode 5, Recovery Techniques. So one of the fun things about playing around in the dunes is getting stuck like this Jeep is here behind me. So we've aired the tires down to an appropriate level, and we could go even lower if this was an emergency situation. We'd go down into those single digits to help get ourselves out. But it's also good to keep our skills up. So in this case, we're going to use these traction boards to get the vehicle unstuck. We've got 4 of them with me, and we can use them as a shovel to clear the sand away in front of the tire. And then we'll put each one of them as a ramp in front of the tire, and we'll use some low wheel speed and actually pull ourselves up and out of this hole. It's that easy.
Another effective tool for recoveries is a vehicle-mounted winch. These devices employ significant pulling power through mechanical advantage to free a stuck vehicle. This mechanical advantage can be further enhanced by using pulley blocks. With the right equipment and training, winching can be both a safe and efficient recovery aid, particularly when traveling in mud and deep snow. It is important to always use safety gloves and goggles and remove bystanders from the winching area.
Okay, in addition to a vehicle-mounted winch or self-recovery using traction boards, we can also do a vehicle-to-vehicle recovery with another vehicle that might be along with us. And for that, we're going to need some equipment. But with any recovery, we want to start off with some protection, which is going to include eyewear like I'm wearing now, and a set of heavy-duty gloves. In addition to those gloves, we're also going to need a way to connect to the vehicles. And that can be done with a screw pin D-shackle, like the one that I'm holding, or it can be done with a new class of connection points, which is called a soft shackle. Now, it depends highly on how you're connecting it to the vehicle. If you're using a soft shackle, which is much safer because it has less mass, it needs to be connected to a connection point that isn't going to damage the soft shackle, so it can't have any sharp edges. But these soft shackles are very lightweight, which means if something was to break, you don't have that heavy piece of metal flying through the air. And then there's a couple different ways to conduct the recovery. Both of them are going to be what's called kinetic. We never want to use a chain or a polyester strap like a tree strap or an extension strap for a winching operation to conduct a vehicle-to-vehicle recovery, because we don't want that shock loading to occur on the connection points. We want these recovery ropes and recovery straps to stretch. Now, for example, this is what's called a kinetic energy recovery rope. And this is going to have a stretch in the 30% range, which is going to give a very, very soft impact to the recovered vehicle as it starts to get pulled out. But it also stores a lot of energy. So as it's stretching like a bungee cord, it starts to store a lot of energy in the strap that's going to aid with the recovery, particularly in sand and in mud. And then the last kind of recovery tool is going to be a recovery strap. Now, this is going to be made from nylon. All of these components are sold by AEV. This is the kind of kit we like to use because it lists all of the minimum braking strengths for each one of the items, also what the item is constructed from. This one here is going to have about 15 to 18% stretch, and it's going to be used for most standard recoveries on the trail, including in the rocks. So we're going to go ahead and loop that through there. Slide this through the bumper. We're going to screw in the screw pin. So now that we're doing a vehicle-to-vehicle recovery, we have to have a way to communicate with the other driver. Now, I'm not a fan of using voice communication because it's very difficult to hear over the engines or to know for sure what the other person is saying. So the simplest way to do that, the most effective way to do that without a radio, is using the horn. So I'm going to signal with a single horn beep that I'm ready to go on the recovery. And then once the other driver is in position and ready to be recovered, they're going to give us 2 horn beeps, which is just going to allow them to communicate to me that I can initiate the recovery. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull the other vehicle out, but I need to know when to stop, and he's going to tell me that with 3 beeps so that I know he's been recovered all the way through the obstacle. So the preferred method of communication for a vehicle-to-vehicle recovery is the radio. And that's because we're able to be very clear in our instructions and provide feedback like drive a little bit faster or go a little bit further. And we're going to want to provide the first instruction of, okay, Brian, I'm in position and ready to go. The rope is taut.
Copy that, Scott. We're good to go.
Now we can communicate in a very precise recovery, like in the rocks here, that the rope is taut. We're not going to be using a kinetic recovery in this situation. We're actually going to pull very slowly. Now, if the vehicle is stuck in deep sand or in mud, we may want to have some slack in the rope, depending on how much force is required to pull the vehicle out.
All right, Brian, I'm in position and the strap is taut. I can see that in my side view mirror. All right, here we go.
Okay, Scott, I'm up and over that little obstacle there.
Awesome, nice work, Brian. That was pretty easy. Overall, vehicle recoveries add a learning opportunity and challenge to overland travel. It is important to get recovery training and practice often, including your travel companions in the exercises. Use properly rated equipment and inspect it before and after each use.